Hey everybody, come on in. Come on, come on, come on. Come on in. Let me fix this microphone. Come on in. Hey everybody, come on in. Tonight we are talking about should you test drive the car before you take it out? I shouldn't say the car. I shouldn't say should you test drive the car. Maybe I'll say we just going to say how it is. We just going to say how it is because that's what we do here. For those of you, it may be your first time listening to me. My name is Dr. J, and I am coming on every night. I come on around 10:30, or what time is it? It's 10:45. So I come on around this time, and I actually talk about stuff that people want to talk about, but they don't. Because some people are just scared to have those conversations. And I'm just one of those people. I'm not nosy, but I just feel like those conversations need to be had. They do. They need to be had. So last night was really good. If you missed last night, you can actually go back to my page and you'll be able to see it. So I'm on IG right now. I'm on Facebook. I am on YouTube. It's on the radio right now. Now it is. It's on the radio right now. So I love coming on having these conversations because listen, if we don't talk about it, then we don't know. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta talk about it. We gotta say what it is. You either like doing these things or you don't. And you know what? For me, I'm like this. Listen, just tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you won't do, and I'm good. It ain't no problem. Ain't no problem over here. So let me tell you what the rules are. Um, there are none. There are no rules to this. You are free to speak however you want to speak. You're free to come on. If you're on IG and you want to come on and you want to say something, you're free to do that. It's a no judgment zone. Um, I invite everybody to come on because I love talking to people and I love hearing everybody's opinion and everybody's voice counts. So last night was really interesting because we were talking about should there be any limits in your bedroom? Like, does anybody have a right to come in between you and your partner and what you do in the bedroom? Does anybody have a right to do that? And so we had a really good conversation, and we went way too long last night. We're not gonna go that long this night. Tonight, we're not going that long this night. But my godson came on, and he really gave us some good, gave us his point of view. And I love that because he's in his 30s. And then we talked about my dad. My parents, they're in their 80s, so they got another perspective. You shouldn't have oral sex and, all these other things that people are doing now. You shouldn't do that. So we kind of, touched on stuff and about the church and how a lot of things are taboo. And, people are afraid to have those conversations. So I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to be one of those people because I used to be one of those people that was afraid to have the conversations. Now I'm not. We're going to have the conversations. So can y'all do me a favor? I'm just looking down because I'm sharing. And then we're going to have the conversation that we're having tonight. Okay. Make sure you share this. Let people know that we're on. What we're talking about tonight is should you test drive or do you need a test drive if you meet somebody, let's say you meet somebody, you feeling them, you feel like, okay, this might be a good person. Do you need a test drive? Do you need to really find out how that person is in bed before you make a commitment to go out? Because, some people say that they do. Some people say that, they're not going to go out or be in a relationship with anybody until they find out how they are in the bedroom. And I don't know how I feel about that, but listen, we're going to talk about it. So, y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? You ready? Okay. I think everybody's ready. I'm getting ready to turn my podcast on. So, I'm just going to do my intro on the podcast and then we're going to go right into it. Okay, y'all? All right. So thank you so much for joining me, everybody. This is Dr. J, and this show is called After Dark with Doc J. And we have the conversations that are sometimes taboo, and we have conversations that people want to talk about, but they're scared to have. So we have them on here. So tonight, no different. Tonight we're talking about, should you test drive the car before going into a commitment? So, car is kind of literal. We're not, I mean, not literal. Car, we're not saying the car. Y'all know what I'm talking about because it's after dark. And one thing I want to say before I go any further is, if you have any children in the room, this show is not for children. This show is not child friendly. This show is for adults only. Okay? So I'll give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, and your children should be out of the room, not even within earshot, because of the conversation that we're going to have. Now, I was reading this article, and it was actually talking about, in this, I want to preface it by saying that this was, I think it was sort of a Christian article, because it kind of had that feel to it as I was reading it. And what it was talking about is, it's not wise to have sex before you get married. And it's not wise to do the test drive, because the title of it was, Should I Do the Test Drive? And, it was really saying that a lot of people, like, you meet people, and I said this last night, like, how many test drives do you need to take? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you meet somebody, you go out and you like, I'm kind of feeling this person. Then you do the test drive, and then you realize, oh, they're not what I thought they were in bed. So then you're going to do another test drive. Like, that's just my question. Like, how many test drives do you need to take before you decide that, you know what, before you decide, like, I'm not doing this anymore? Like, do you seriously really have to do a test drive? I think that's my question. Do you have to do a test drive? Because I just wonder, like, is it that big of a deal? Is it different for males and females? Like, I just want y'all to talk to me and tell me what you think. If you want to come on IG and you want to say something to me about it, feel free, because I just wonder sometimes, like, I see people going into these different, I don't even want to call them relationships, but it's like you're just going out. You're going out with somebody, you're meeting them, and you're talking to them, and then all of a sudden, now, that's not me. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you straight up, it's not me, because there's no way you're gonna meet me, and a couple hours later, after the date, we're in the bed. I'm just telling you straight up, that's not happening. That is not happening. Not with me. No, 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 no. But I know so many people who tell me, I was out. They call me. They're so excited. I was out. Oh my goodness, I met this person. We went back to their house and we had sex. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, you kind of threw me in left field for a minute. You did what? And there's so many people that I meet. And I think my first question is, like, how do you do that? How do you just meet somebody that you don't know? And there's it can't be love, or is it lust? I don't want to say lust, but it's like you're meeting people and you're having sex. Now, if you happen to find somebody that you really like, okay, let's say you really like this person, you're really starting to feel this person, would it be a deal breaker if, hey Keith, how are you? Would it be a deal breaker after you and this person have gone out a few times, you start liking each other? Would it be a deal breaker if the person said to you, I don't want to have sex? Because they understand about the test drive, and it may not, you may not like how they are in bed. You may not like how they perform, or what they will or won't do in bed. You may not like that. So my question to you guys is, and this is the radio, like, we're on YouTube and all of that, but let me know how you feel. would you be comfortable and would you be okay if that person said, no, we're not doing a test drive? How would that make you feel? I think for me, if I was in that situation, um, I'm just trying to think. If I'm in that situation and I was faced with that, um, and them saying, well, that's a deal breaker for me, I think it would just have to be a deal breaker because if I'm not ready, because that's the other thing. What if the person is not ready? What if the person wants to get to know you a little bit more? They want to go out a little more. They want to have more conversations or something like that. Like what if they're going in that direction and you're saying, okay, I feel you, I got that. I've learned all that I need to know. I need to do the test drive. I need to do the test drive. So how do y'all feel about that? I don't know. I can't. I can only speak for me, and I wanted to read something that not read it, but I just wanted to share something with you that um, I saw and what the person was saying about test driving. She called it test driving sex before marriage, right? And so one of the things that she was saying is that oh man, where was it at? She was saying that sex is amazing, is an amazing force and more powerful than many of us realize. And she goes on, hers, I think what she was doing with hers was more biblical, when she was pointing things out. And I know that I do have a lot of people who are Christians who are watching, but Christian people have sex too. Christian people have sex, they engage, they do all of that. And so this is what she says. Okay. She says, God designed sex to supernaturally cement, cement a husband and wife as one, which means you would be unwise to take it for a test drive because once you have intercourse, your heart and body are immediately bonded to the other person. If you disagree, consider that if sex was not a bonding process, then all of us could have sex with everyone we want. Break up, never feed a twinge of pain. The fact that couples experience heartache or awkwardness when they break up after having sex, even kissing and caressing, is proof that sex is a bonding process. So, this, what she's saying in her book is that, and I'm going to talk about, oh, wait, Keith was saying something. I'm going to talk about what someone else said too. Keith said, why would you want to be in any relationship if sex is not a possibility? I mean, and that's the thing, Keith. Like, I'm not saying that sex won't happen. I just think that sometimes people move too quickly in the process. I think that um, they go on a couple of dates, 2 or 3 dates, and they're like ready to jump into bed. And to me, I'm gonna be honest with you, like for me, I don't like that. I don't like that because it kind of makes me feel like you were just feeling me out because you wanted to find out what I'm like in a bedroom. That's just my personal feeling. And that makes me uncomfortable because sometimes I'll be honest with y'all, this is the reason why I don't do the whole dating thing. I don't want to constantly go out because I don't want to be faced with that question. I don't want to be faced with somebody looking in my face like, oh my goodness, I'm sorry I went out with her. I don't want to deal with all of that. So the whole dating thing, like, I just don't do it. I really just don't do it, to be honest with you. You would have to really be like a special person in order for me to um, do that whole thing of constantly going out because it also after a while it feels like a feeling of rejection if you're saying, hey, whoa, slow down, wait a minute. Keith says, he said, when is enough time? I think that depends on the couple. Like, it depends on the two people that are together. Like you get to decide when it's time. When is it right? I mean, we all grown, and we get to a point in life where we understand, like, you know what, I really am feeling him, or I really am feeling her. Or if you're a same sex couple, you feeling that person, and you like, you know what, it's time. And sometimes it happens without words even being spoken. So he said, so what's the problem with one night stands, Keith? That is, for me, that's definitely a problem. Like, it's a problem for me. It may not be a problem for somebody else, but one night stands. I'm not going to be anybody's one night stand because of the value that I put on myself. And so I think that we all have to look at our self worth, and we have to, when we look in that mirror, say to ourselves, I'm more than a one night stand. I'm definitely more than a one night stand. There's no way that I'm, because, and Keith, tell me what you think about what I'm getting ready to say. Like, what are you getting out of just, he said, it's a time for anything. It's a time for anything, even sex. Yeah, but that's a little bit different in my book. Here's the thing. What what are you getting from these one night stands? Okay, if you're meeting somebody today, and let's say you meet somebody a couple of days later, or maybe it could be next week that you meet somebody, what are you getting out of these one night stands? What kind of gratification are you getting? And what am I supposed to get as a woman? What am I supposed to feel as a woman just having one night stands, just sleeping with this one, with that one? And guys, would you want a woman who has been turned more than the doorknobs at your house because she likes to do one night stands? I don't think you would. Because most guys, they'll play with you, they'll have fun with you, they'll do this, that, and the third with you. But when the rubber meets the road, they want that woman who's almost pure, the woman who hasn't done all of these things, one night stands, and a whole bunch of dating and sleeping all over the place. Y'all don't want those kind of women. Correct me if I'm wrong, Keith, but y'all don't want those kind of women. And so that's my whole point in saying this. I think, we have to be careful, like when we throw stuff out there, like what's wrong with the one night stand? And immediately, for me, it goes to self esteem. There's definitely something wrong with it because my self esteem is up here. And so my self esteem can't stay up here. And if I feel like I have to go sleep with this one and that one, um, and as a man looking at me, what would you think? What would you think if somebody said, Lady J, she sleep with this one, she sleep with that one? Like, what would your opinion of me be? And so I think as we get older, those are the kind of things we have to think about versus just jumping into um, these situations. A lot of people will do one night stands, they'll do the dates, they do all of this because of loneliness. And I've actually talked to people who, like I said, they'll call me and say, you know what, I went out, I met this person, and we was kicking in, and we went back to his house, and we had sex. And I'm like, whoa, pump your brakes. But I always ask them, like, we know it's not love because you just met the person. So we know you didn't do it because you're in love with them. It, I don't want to say that it's lust because I don't know that you all were lusting after each other. Sometimes one person told me, and it was a guy, because I was asking him, and he said, Lady J, it just fills a need. It filled a need for me at that moment. And I'm like, wow, isn't sex supposed to be more than that? Isn't sex supposed to be more than, you know, you're just feeling a need? Like I don't really I don't like that because you make me feel like I'm a piece of meat on a table, a piece of meat on your plate, like a big old steak on your plate. And you love steak and you're eating that because you're hungry and it tastes good. And so those are just my thoughts and my opinions. But, like I said, this is a no judgment zone. So you guys may feel another way on Instagram and Facebook and wherever else you're listening. But some of you may know Devon Franklin. Devon Franklin is married to Megan Good. Devon wrote a book called The Wait. And Devon Franklin is a pastor, and I think he works for Sony, or don't quote me, one of these big companies in Hollywood. And of course, we know Megan Good is an actor. Okay, she's an actress. I'm sorry. And he wrote a book called The Wait, and the book was really about him. Yes, Keith. Yes, you're absolutely right. Keith says that people often mistake sex with love, and it's not. Sex is, they're two different things, really. Um, so Devon Franklin wrote a book called The Wait, and the book is basically about waiting to have sex before marriage. And what he talks about in the book is how he waited for years, okay, without having sex with women. And he did not have sex with Megan Good until they got married. So when his book came out, and then, every now and then when I meet people and we talk about his book, especially guys are like, there's no way in the world that Devon Franklin, who was engaged to Megan Good, there's no way in the world that they did not have sex. Guys are telling me that they just don't believe it. They do not believe it. These are Christian guys, non-Christian guys. And they're like, I just don't believe that. He definitely had sex with her. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm just going by what he has in his book, where he says that they did not have sex until they got married. And how he was saying how he appreciates his wife so much more because they waited. And so this conversation that I'm having tonight is centered around all of that, because he waited for her. What if he waited and got into that relationship and then found out that she wasn't really giving him what he wanted, or fulfilling that need that he likes? But on the other hand, when you talk to Christians, when you go to Christian counseling, a lot of times in the sermons, you'll hear from pastors, and they say that um, that God said no sex before marriage, and He said that for a reason. I'm gonna talk about that in just a minute, but let me finish this point. He said it for a reason. And so when you do engage in sex before marriage with your marital partner, your fiance, basically you are kind of, what is the word? I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but you're damaging your relationship a little bit, because you're entering into a covenant that is not supposed to be entered into until you get married. And so you should know your partner before then. And so these are the things that you're taught as you go through church and counseling for marriage. And these are the things that you are taught to wait before. And then when you get married, that it's much more enjoyable once you go into the marital relationship, the marital covenant. So Keith says, what if you wined and dined a woman for 89 days and she dumped you on the 90th day? How would you feel? Hey, Tay, that's a really good question. So, because uh, Steve Harvey has this thing that he's taught women, and I'm not a Steve Harvey fan, because Steve Harvey didn't go to anybody's school for counseling, therapy, or anything like that. But he wrote this book about the 90-day rule, and I hear women talking about it. Make the man wait for 90 days. So Keith is saying, what if you wined and dined a woman for 89 days? And then she dumped you on the 90th day? How would you feel? And so, guys, if you want to answer that, you can. And if you're on Instagram and you want to come on and you want to talk to me, it's fine. But, Keith, I would say what are you whining? And my question to you, Keith, would be: are you whining and dining this woman with the intent of having sex? Is that your intent? Or are you whining and dining because you really like this woman? And even if the 91st day came and she decided, I don't want to have sex, you would be okay. Like, what is your intent when you talk about the 89 days and the 90-day? Like, what is your intent when you come down to it? And then as a man, and guys, you can answer this, would you be willing to wait if your fiance said, listen, I love you, but we can't have sex until we get married? Maybe the marriage is next year, maybe the marriage is 2 years off. Would you be okay with waiting, or would that be a deal breaker? If it's a deal breaker, then I would have to question how much how much love and commitment do you have for this person? Because if you love the person, if you're committed to the person, if they decide and you guys are in love and everything is going great, if this person decides, hey, let's wait, I really want to give myself to you on the wedding night, it's important to me, that's when I want to give myself to you. I know my godson said last night that would be a deal breaker for him. It would just definitely be a deal breaker. He has to have sex now, or like he said, it would cause him to go out. It would. Tay said, really, he said it would cause him to go out and maybe look at other women, or possibly be involved with other women. And men have told me that, that if they don't get what they want in this relationship, you kind of force them to turn their head and their neck in another direction. And this is why I say to people, before you get into these relationships, before you get into the bed, because I also know some people who have practiced celibacy, but then they meet somebody, and the next thing you know, after a few days, or sometimes after the first one, they jump in the bed. And then they want to pull back and say, oh man, I really like you, but I'm celibate. No, you're not. You're not celibate. You're not celibate. Or you wouldn't have done what you did and you would still be celibate. But so you have those kind of scenarios where you're sending mixed messages to people. You're either celibate or you're not. Because once you get under those sheets and you decide, I'm gonna go ahead and just let it all out, you think that person is not going to be expecting that the next time? So that's another thing. We got to stop sending mixed messages. We got to stop doing that. Keith said her intent was to string a man on for 89 days and dump him on the 90th day. There's a woman out there, and there's women out there who use men like that. So men, protect yourself. That's what Keith is saying. And Keith, I am not going to disagree with you because I know some of those women. I know women who have gone out with men who have money, and they are struggling, and they've gone out with men, they've gone out to dinner, they've allowed the man to buy them stuff. They have no intentions whatsoever in being in a relationship. There's no love, there's no nothing. They just need to make ends meet. I've worked with these women. I've been a manager over these women, and I've had conversations with them, because the thing I was trying to help them to understand is, even though you're doing that, you're kind of stringing him along because he doesn't know what's going on. And I always say, give people the opportunity to make a decision in the relationship. Do I want to be a part of this or no? Do I want to be strung along or no? Let me make the decision about what I want to do. But I do know quite a few women who have done that because they were just struggling so much, and this guy came along. They saw that the guy really liked them. The guy would do anything for them. And so they were like, look, they didn't see anything wrong with it. I'm just going to use them. And some of them had, a guy on the side that they were already in a relationship with, but he wasn't able to help them, meet their needs because they had a couple of kids and all of that. And so, you know, they went into a relationship with this man and they pretty much just, used him for what he was able to give. And so, I think that it's just so many dynamics to this, and we just have to be careful because at the end of the day, everybody, we're dealing with people's emotions, we're dealing with people's feelings. And sometimes I have seen people be in a relationship, or I shouldn't say in a relationship, they want to go into a relationship, and I'm saying to them, that's not the person you should be with because that person is not feeling you like you're feeling them. But because they're so deep into it and so involved in it, they're not able to see. And so we just got to be so careful. Keith says game recognizes game. Yeah, I think that's true. And this is what I will say: you just got to keep your game up. I'll say that you got to keep your game up because there have been times when people off their game because they get so involved and amused with the person that they're with, and so they're off their game. So I would be careful about that. He says game recognizes game, and that's true. So, but my thing is also if I have to now go out on these dates, looking so deeply to see if this person is playing a game, are they just talking to me and saying certain things because they're trying to get me in the bed? It just seems like so much work now to even go out on a date to meet somebody. It seems like so much work. It's like a job. And I just feel like at this point in my life, I don't want to fill out that application, I just don't. I don't want to be in a position where I have to look at everything because I got to make sure this person is not playing a game with me. I gotta I gotta make sure that at the end of the night that they understand it's not going to be any sex. Like it's just too much work. I'm like, look, I can take myself out, and when movie theaters were open, I could take myself to the movie, and I did that. I can travel by myself. I can do these things by myself because it's just a lot of work. But at the same time, there are plenty of people out here who are looking for relationships. There's good men, good women out here who are looking for relationships. I think the problem is we have the good men, we have the good women, and we're just not able to connect and meet each other for some reason. It's like we're all over here, over there. So I haven't been able to make that connection. Okay. Um, so Keith says, in your heart if it's red or if it's real or if it's fake. Yeah, you do. You do. I think you do because I believe also that as you get older, you kind of move beyond looking at that superficial persona that they're bringing to you, and you're really like looking and like you are really like looking inside of this person like let me just make sure because I'm not for no games. I think and that's where I'm at in my life. I think we get to those ages and stages in life where we're like, look, I'm not for any games. We sit down, and I've had these conversations. We sit down like, look, this is who I am. Tell me about you. My thing is, let's just put it all out on the table. So we know at the end of this date where we're going. Chances are I'll be going back home. We know what we're doing. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's not, play all these games. Tell me about you. I'll tell you about me. Let's put it out there. What you want, what you're expecting after this date, I'll tell you what I'm expecting. Let's eat or go to we're at the movies or whatever we're doing. Let's have a good time. But at the end of the evening, we both know what's going to happen. Okay, we both know what's going to happen. And I love what Keith says about, game recognizes game, because even when you have those conversations, you have these narcissistic people out here. And the narcissist, I know who you are. I know who you are. We have the narcissistic people out here who will even take that and twist it around because now you've given them some fuel for that fire. And so they really going to try to pull you in and get you under them sheets. Keith says if you can't hold a proper conversation with that person is not for you. Move on. Absolutely. So we're at the table and I'm saying, this is who I am and this is what I do. These are the things I like. And then the other thing, if you're the one that's doing all the talking, that's a problem as well. But I think that you either have to put yourself in the category that you're okay with going along with the test drive because you just want to see how it's going to work. Maybe that's one of the things that you have to, one of the boxes you have to check on your list. I meant this woman or I meant this man. He's handsome. She's pretty. He smelled good. She smelled good. Um, Great conversation. Great in bed. Not great in bed. I think if those are boxes that have to be checked for you, then, it's up to you. That's not a box for me because that's not an option. And I think we, especially as women, I really believe that we have to start putting more stock and more value, on us than we do. And when you do that, there's a saying that says you attract how you act. And so if you are out here and you like to do the one night stands, like Keith had asked about earlier, and you like to be out here having fun, and you don't have a problem with sleeping with this person and that person until you get to the car that you want to drive, have at it. Like I said, me, it's a no judgment zone. Because we're grown and we make grown folks decisions. But at the same time, I think you have to get to a point and a place in your life where you start placing value on yourself. When you look in the mirror and you say, listen, I don't want everybody touching my breast. I don't want everybody smacking my behind. I don't want everybody inside of me. When does it end? I think that's the question that I would ask. When does it end? Are you at a certain age or a maturity level? Because you could be test driving cars until you're 70. You may not meet that person. He or she may not come along. So how many times you gonna lay down and have sex with these people that you don't know, and you just test drive and on and on? It's a no for me. It's really a no for me. Because like I said, I don't want, and this is my personal opinion, so I don't want anybody to think that I'm imposing my opinion upon you. This is just Lady J, and this is just, what I'm thinking and feeling. But I really don't want everyone. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just getting my cord. You know, I don't want everybody in my bedroom. I don't. I don't want everybody in my bed. I don't want to, roll over tonight and I'm waking up with Tim. And then, on the weekend, I'm waking up with John and we getting up having breakfast, and then he goes home and he does what he has to do and we just go about our day. That does not work for me. It really does not work for me. And I think that, again, like I said, we have to just be so careful with these vessels, with our bodies, um, and what we put inside of us. We want to talk about soul ties one night because I don't know if you guys believe in soul ties, where you have sex with all these people and you walk away with a piece of everybody. I don't know if y'all believe in that, but I actually did a study on it and it was really, really interesting. So we may talk about that one night. But, I just really think that as I close out, because I told y'all we weren't going to be on long tonight because we went way over last night. But I think it's just important, no matter what you decide to do, who you decide to do it with. First of all, you want to make sure that you're using protection because if you're going to be test driving cars, and let me tell y'all something about that. I know a lot because I have a lot of male friends. And that's another thing. If anybody gets with me, they have to understand that I have a lot of male friends. I always have. Um, you know, so there's nothing going on, but I just have male friends. But a lot of them that are single have told me that they just go raw. When they're doing the these one night stands, or when they meet somebody, or they test driving to see if it's going to work out, they go raw, and I'm like, oh my goodness, because how many times are you going to do that? And then you don't know what that person has. Like, any of us can say we're well, or I don't have a sexually transmitted disease, or I never had one. Any of us can say that. Y'all, I'm sorry, I'm at my parents' house, and they still have a phone. Every time I hear the phone ring, I'm like, because I'm not used to the phone ringing, but yeah, they still have I don't even, what is it called? The landline. I haven't had one in so long, I don't even remember. So that's what you just heard. It's so funny. But so you know, when they're having sex and you're not using any protection, and you want to keep test driving cars. I mean, even in cars, they change the oil, right? They change the oil, the transmission fluid. What else do they change? The what is that stuff called? Antifreeze or something they change in the car? Like, I mean, even they get changed. So I just think that we have to be careful, because I think also, because the pandemic is going on, a lot of people are lonely. A lot of people want to be hugged, they want to be held, they want to be caressed. You're used to having sex, and we're not able to go out as much as we used to. And so, it's just hard for some people. And so they're okay with sleeping with this person tonight and see you. It was nice having you over. Yep, that was fun. See you next time. That don't work for me. It just doesn't. So let me see what Keith says. He says, I don't think anyone in their right mind chooses to sleep around. Everybody wants to be with somebody that cares about them. The only way to find that somebody is to plead the fifth. Oh, no. What did he say? The only way to find that okay, I see he rewrote it. He said the only way to find that someone is to play the field. Uh, it's a no judgment zone, though. So let me just read one more time what he says. He said, I don't think anybody in their right mind wants to fool around, but everybody wants to be with somebody who cares about who they care about. And the only way to find that someone is to play the field. Well, I guess I'm out of the game. I am definitely out of the game. Because, Keith, when you say play the field, are you saying play the field as, like, we're talking about test driving a car? So playing the field means that you you may have 3 or 4 women that you go out with during the week. Like, I know people who do that too. They just serial daters, and they got women or guys that they go out with, during the week, happy hour. They go to clubs and all different kinds of stuff, and dinner. And sometimes they hook up. Sometimes they have sex, and they're like, that was good. See you next time. They give a dab, high five. See you next time. And I'm like, wow, okay, because to me, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And to be honest with you, I've never done that. Like, where I just met somebody and we liked each other, and that same day we just jumped in bed. Like, that doesn't work for me. And so, Keith, you're saying dating? He's saying dating. Um, like I said, to each his own. And what I was saying earlier is, if you're going to do it, everybody, male and female, make sure that you use some type of protection, because when we're talking about all of this, we also have to be mindful of the fact that there are sexually transmitted diseases going around, and some, you can still cure it with medication, and some you can't. Some you can't. Some are with you. Look up the HPV. Some of these things are with you, and they stay with you. And so we got to really be careful, because I know we want to be loved, and we want to be held, and we want to be caressed, but at the same time, What are you exposing yourself to? Not just emotionally, because you know what I read earlier in this when we were talking about test driving, whether you should test drive or not. And the lady was writing in her book that you should not because of the emotional connection that happens and how it uh, cements the two together. Me personally, I'm not sure when her book was written, but I think that we're in a society now where we're so um, disconnected as people. You know, we are just not connected at all to anything or anybody. And I think a lot of people don't even have emotions anymore. I think people are just walking around. We're sick of the pandemic. We're sick of the lockdown. We're sick of the mask. We're sick of people dying. We are just sick and tired of all of these things that are going on. So, you know, yeah, if somebody comes along and it feels good with them hugging and touching you, you probably will fall back and have sex. Be protected. Use protection. That's super important. Keith says having options is better than none at all. It is, but do you have to sleep with all of the options, Keith? You know, that's just my question. Do you have to sleep with all of the options? I get that. You know, who wouldn't want options? I would love to have, you know, men that I could choose from, but at the same time, I don't want to have, let's say I have 5 men that I could choose from. I don't want to have to sleep all with all five to find out, you know, who wants me or who I want to be with. I just don't want to do that. And maybe it's an age thing, maybe because I'm older now, you know, I'm looking at things a little bit differently. But yeah, I think that he says no. I think that we really, and what is your need? You know, what is your need in all of this? What is your need, and what is it that you want? What is it that you're trying to get out of this relationship? Are you trying to get just pure satisfaction because you're lonely? You don't want a commitment. I know people like that. They don't want a commitment. They're just good with having sex. And as I said, once again, that is perfectly up to you. I don't tell people what to do with their bodies. But I think we got to look deep within and find out why we're doing these things. If I need to test drive every man that comes along to see, hey, Norville, no, Norville. Y'all, let me tell you what Norville Brathwaite just put on his. You see, Norville just came into the conversation. And Norville said he has a whole bunch of hearts. He has 100 on here. He says, send me a picture of your vajiji. That's what Norville just put on here. So evidently Norville just came into the conversation because had Norville been on here earlier, Norville would know not to say that to me. And I'm gonna be real nice because you know it's a no judgment zone, and maybe Norville is feeling himself, or maybe Norville needs some loving and some hugging tonight. But Norville, Brathwaite, is it Brathwaite or Brathwaite? Let me tell you something, brother. You will never ever get close to my vajiji. You will never get a picture. You won't even get an invite. You won't even be able to ask me to meet you anywhere to go out with you because of the way that you just came at me. Okay? Okay, brother? I don't know if you're a white brother or a black brother. I'm not really sure. But you will never, okay? You just took yourself completely out of the game when it comes to me because you don't come at me that way, okay? I just talked about value, the value that we should have in ourselves, how we feel about ourselves, the stock, you know, how do you feel about you when you look in the mirror? I just talked about all of that. Go back and look at the video. Don't ever do that again, Norville. Okay, I'm being nice tonight. So these are the people. These are the people that you got to deal with. This man said, "Send me a picture of your vajayjay. Vajayjay, sorry, your vajayjay." Norville, go to bed. Okay, go to bed. Go watch a movie, go do what you need to do to satisfy yourself. Because what will not happen is that you will not be satisfied by me. Okay, good night. All right, everybody. So now that I got him straight, um, you know, now that I got Mr. Norville straight, we can move on. It's always those people, but like I told you, people are lonely, people are bold, and there are women who will actually send a picture to men. They send their little selfies. It's a oh my gosh, it's a site. It's a site. Hey godson, there's a site that's oh man, I can't think of the name of the site, but there's a site that's out now that I know that where women actually send nude photos and stuff like that. And hey, listen, to each his own. Do you. If that's what you like doing, hey, I'm happy for you. Go right ahead. But Mr. Norvell Brathwaite better go to bed or better go find him some porno or whatever he wants to do because you will not get a picture of this for JJ. Good night, brother. Have a good night, okay? And don't send me no more messages. Don't send me no more messages. So, no, he's saying it to me. He's telling me, send me a picture of you with JJ. And he got all these hearts and stuff up here. But some people are lonely, and maybe that's the way that some people would respond. And for some women, they may feel like, wow, let me send him a picture. Not this woman. No, I think you have to value yourself a little bit more. And I'm not that cheap where I'm gonna go in the bathroom right now, wherever I am, or when this live is over, and go take a snapshot of down there and send it to somebody. Get out of here. Hopefully, you find what you need. Yes. Let me ask you this question. Mm-hmm. And we talking about in the confines of a committed relationship, or even if you were married. Right. If you were married, would that be something that would be acceptable if you were married to your husband and he said, honey, send me a picture or video? Would that be Listen, like I said last night when we were having a conversation last night, when you are in the confines of your marriage or your relationship with your partner, you do what you need to do to make that person happy. Okay? So if my partner said, hey, go take a picture for me, I'm going to go take a picture and send it to my partner. Because guess what? If I don't send the picture to him, somebody else might send a picture. You know what I'm saying? So I think we got to really look at it that way, that, what can I do? I'm going to do all that I can to please my partner. So if my partner was to walk away and decide I don't want to be with her anymore, that's on him, because I'm giving you what you asked for. I'm giving you what you asked for. I'm doing what you want me to do. But if that's not enough, then so be it. And then, like I said, you have these brothers like this Norville person who may use social media or whatever to get people to send him pictures. And I'm sure there are women who probably will do that. But I was saying earlier, godson, that, I think it's important that as women, because I can't speak for the men, but it's important that as women, we put some value on ourselves, and we say that it's just certain things that we're not going to do. Don't be that easy. No, I was just saying, don't be that easy. Okay, I got you. I mean, once again, I think it's a generational thing because, in my generation, sending pictures and videos, that's a thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say so much a prerequisite, but once again, like I said last night, it's based upon your comfort level. But if you are in the confines of a committed relationship, that's acceptable. And sometimes people will send it as a prerequisite to see, one, what you think. Do you like it, the size, the look, the color, whatever, no matter men or women. And, so sometimes it's not, most women I know will say they don't want anything unsolicited. Don't send them nothing if they ask for it. Mm-hmm. And whatnot. You should only send it if they ask for it. But it's almost like, in my generation, a prerequisite. Everybody
got some pictures. Everybody got some videos. It's a small population of people, very small, and I think it's mostly conservative women.
Mm-hmm.
Conservative, just church-defied women that may not send nude pictures, but they may send something flirtatious or sexy, but may not go all the way to nude, or they may send something in a bra and panties, with their face not in it and whatnot. So it's like it's different ways to do it, but it's based upon your comfort level. And for me, it's just once again my opinion. It's not the source of truth, but I don't think that you're devaluing yourself because people take all kinds of pictures. A woman will take 2,000 pictures in 500 different angles to just post one.
Well, let me ask you this. And somebody said it was an echo, so you might have to mute your mic when you're not talking, because they were saying it was an echo. Well, here's it. Like, I get your point. Like, I really do get your point. But at the same time, if I send a picture to you, okay, I send a picture to you, I'm sending a picture to Keith, I'm sending a picture to this Norville guy and whoever else is on IG and all these other things. I'm sending myself out to all these people, and y'all got my pictures of my body, like, for me, I want to say for me personally, and like I said, I don't want to speak for anyone else. I'm just speaking for me. That is devaluing myself. If we're in a relationship, if I met you and we're feeling each other and we like each other, okay, cool, and we got our own thing going on. But if I'm just, and I'm telling you, Will, I have met guys, okay, we start talking, they like, hey, send me a picture. And so here's what I say, because I know what they're talking about, right? I'm like, well, you can go on my social media pages and get, any picture you want, because I got a lot of pictures out there. And then they come back and say, no, send me a picture of your breast. They'll be specific, send me a picture of your breast, or send me a picture of this. And I'm like, no. Like, I'm not going in my room or whatever and pulling my shirt down and sending you a picture of my breast because you like, oh, you look good. And what I'm saying, Will, is that I know this, and you're saying your generation, it's women in my generation who do that. They think that I'm stuck up and I'm wrong because I don't do it. But for me, it don't work for me. That's not something that I'm going to do.
That's fair. Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you how it goes, okay? So you know.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you meet somebody on a dating website, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to put the steps out there just so I can be clear.
Right.
So it can be clear.
Uh-huh.
If you meet someone in person and you get an opportunity to see them, okay, that's a little different, right? Mm-hmm. So if you meet them in person, you get their phone number, you may not need to request so many pictures, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it depends on where you met them. If I met somebody at a job and they're dressed down or not dressed up, then I know that their job uniform is not doing them any justice. Mm-hmm. So I'll say, hey, send me a picture of what you look like. Because some people say, well, you met me on a bad day. I was tore up from the floor. Mm-hmm. So I say, okay, well, what do you look like on a good day? Mm-hmm. What do you look like? Send me a picture of that. Or, I would say in my generation, you almost have to send pictures. Almost. I mean, because in my generation, it's a lot of catfishing going on.
Right.
It's a lot of people saying that, people will say, I can't talk at this particular time, or a day or night, or I can't get on a video call, or my phone broken, or something like that. Some kind of excuse. And so, what happens, once again, in my millennial generation, we need to verify what you look like, what you sound like, and that you were born the sex that we are attracted to.
I get that, Will, but it sounds like what you're talking about is you want to get to know this person. I'm talking about people asking for nude photos.
Once again, like I told you yesterday, it's not an unfair ask. It's not an unfair. Let me try this up. It's not an unfair act. A fair exchange ain't no robbery. So I may send you something and ask you to send me something. That's not anything wrong with that.
But how deep into knowing that person is this after the first? Let's say you go out. Is this after the first time you meet them? Is this after a phone call? Like how deep are you into?
So once again, we have to classify the relationship or the bond. We have to classify it, right? So if this is, we put people in categories. Mom, are you in a friend zone? Are you someone who I'm going to exclusively date? Are you friends with benefits? Are you going to be my future, my wife or husband? So we gotta categorize it. But if pictures usually lead to sex, because you kind of want to see and gleam a little bit. You want to get a sneak preview because check this out. If and my man said, my young fella said, it depends on the people and the situation that's established. And I agree with him. It depends on what we've already discussed.
Right.
And typically, you kind of get a feeling or a sense of where this thing about to go before it gets there. Women, and I learned this a while back, women have already made up in their mind whether or not they're going to sleep with you.
Right.
Based upon your conversation, your looks, and your tennis shoe game.
Because you know what? Because what we do as women, when we, like the moment we see a guy, like we pretty much know whether it's going to work or it's not going to work. You know, like it's certain things that I look for, and you can turn me off immediately. You know, because we have already in a split second, we've already looked at you from head to toe. We already smelling you to, you know, make sure you smell good and all of that. We checking out your hair, your beard and all your grooming and all of that. Within seconds, we've done that. And so then we decide in our mind, you know what, let me just do this and get it over with because this ain't going to work. You know, this is without conversation. We're not. Yes.
Now, you know people and you've made CDs before, right?
Right.
You can't gather everything you need to gather from one listen to the CD or one look at the movie. You've missed some things. Or you treat, and I was talking about this earlier in class, about prejudging. And sometimes you're getting ready to prejudge and you haven't given enough of who got time to meet you and give you an elevator speech.
Well, listen, but let me tell you, this, and let me read Keith's comment. Keith said men are supposed to know how to recognize a respectful woman and act accordingly. Yes, they are, Keith. You're right.
Hold on. Can I get a little pushback, please?
Okay, go ahead. You getting some pushback, Keith. Hold on.
I gotta get some pushback. Because who is to say, who is they that made the standards of what is a respectful or respectable man or woman? Are we talking about a mighty man of valor? Are we talking about a Proverbs 31 woman? Who is we and they that made what's respectable? Because I believe that everybody, Lottie Dottie and everybody, has some things that may make them unrespectable or undesirable. So I'm saying, I think that that's a case-by-case basis, because someone may look at you and say, you are the queen, you're the cream of the crop, and you got another person saying, nah, I know her from back in the day, from around the way, and I know how she get down when we're not at church, or at
right.
Bible study. So I'm just saying, like, how can you say who? So I'll give you an example. Hold on, real quick, I promise. Is a lady that waits 90 days more respectful and respectable than somebody that waits 9 months?
Okay, you missed it. Keith actually asked that question earlier. We were talking about that. You know, I don't think listen, my personal opinion, Will, is that you got to look at yourself. Like, respect comes from within. Respect comes from you. And to Keith's point, I think Keith was talking about because of what Norville had said. And we've been having like this conversation all night, and I've been putting it out there, like the things I will do, the things I won't do. And he turns around and comes and says, "Send me a picture of you, but JJ, like, like you're totally not listening to what I'm saying." So I think that's what Keith was going with that.
Because he's focused on what he's focused on, which is sex driven, lust driven. He's not that's his focus.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta just be transparent. At times, that's been my focus.
Mm-hmm.
Or that may appear to be my primary focus.
Mm-hmm.
But as we flush things out, because I think sometimes people get into the habit of wanting to cut people off so quick,
Mm-hmm.
and you haven't fully explored what the person is saying. Because, like for instance, if we texting all the time, things can get lost in translation.
Mm-hmm.
But if we have a phone conversation and we get without interruptions, without distractions, then we can really get to the source of what a person means,
Mm-hmm.
what their intent is. So he may be trying to talk. Now hold on, just ride with me for a second. I just want to go off to a different place. He may be thinking that he's complimenting you. He may be thinking,
Yeah.
He may not know. Now, I want to give another scenario. That may be what he was raised around.
Mm-hmm.
He may have been raised around lust or
Mm-hmm.
over-sexualization or commenting on a woman's body.
Mm-hmm.
So he may not know what the proper way. I watched a movie one time and a man was approaching a woman and he was out at her. He was like, "Hey, shorty, what's up?"
Mm-hmm.
And matter of fact, and he might have been like, "Yo, baby, yo, baby, yo."
Yeah, that's no for me.
Yeah. It was a fresh friend.
Mm-hmm.
And she stopped him and she said, "Is that what passes for a compliment or how you talk to me?"
Right.
And she said, "If that is, then you need to come a whole different way."
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to be mindful that not everybody has the high level exposure that you have. And not everybody can identify what is a quote unquote good woman or good man.
And so this is what you do. Me personally, this is my opinion. You check them. Just like I did with him. You check them and you let him know. I'm gonna let you pass this time. Like I told him, I ain't gonna bother you because this is no judgment zone. But don't come back here with that again, okay? Because then I'm gonna have to really check you. And so I think that it's up to the person. Like, we have to understand who we are, what we will tolerate, what we will not tolerate, and it's always what we instill in ourselves. And guys, men, this is just so super important. When you have a daughter, like, it's so important to pour into your daughter's life and be that first man in their life who validates her, who says, "I love you, you're beautiful, you smell good, oh, your hair looks so pretty." Be that man, because when you are that man to them, you kind of set the standard for what they're going to look for later on, what they're going to tolerate, what they're not going to tolerate, because you're the first man in their life and you're showing them what they should have. I really feel like that my dad, growing up, is 4 girls. And so my dad was always like, before we went to bed, every single night, even if he got in late, he was always like, "You're beautiful, you're special." All 4 of us, each of us, he would go into our rooms, give us a kiss, give us a hug. He'd sit down and have conversations with us. He did things with us. And even if we had something on, and he would come in a really nice way and say, "You know what? You shouldn't wear that. You should not wear that because you're going to." Yeah, because some things will give guys the wrong idea. Like, you might think that it looks okay. And so, but what I'm saying all of that to say that he gave me so much validation as a young girl that as an adult woman, I don't need that validation. I don't need a man hovering over me saying, "Oh, you are so beautiful. You sing so good. You are this, you are that." And men will take that sometimes as arrogance when it's not. It's what my father put in me, and I understand who I am. And so if you don't give that to me, I'm still good. I'm not gonna be walking out here like a sex zombie, like I gotta go have sex with everybody because that's what he gave to me.
Let me give you something that you've done
Mhm.
historically and habitually that most people don't do. Do you have a son? And ever since I've known you, your son, and your family, you always poured into your son, always
Mhm.
validated him, always gave him the confidence that he needed,
Right.
and pushed him out in the world, knowing that he's a king, knowing that he's one of the best things that God has ever created. The difference with the way that you raise your son and the way that most people raise their son, and this is across cultures,
Mhm.
nobody usually sits the son down and says you're smart, you're
Right.
handsome, you're intelligent, what your sex organ or what you have between your legs matters. Don't just spread it around.
Right.
We're not taught that. Most times we protect our girls and tell them to keep their virginity, they're innocent, they're pure, and then we let our boys go out and sow their wild oats, and
Mhm.
boys are just being boys.
Right.
And so I don't fault, even for me, I don't fault young men for the way that they acted
Mhm.
because no one has ever told them that don't go lose your virginity until you're ready. Nobody has ever told 99.9% of men that. And so what we do is we do a disservice to the men, and we protect and secure our women.
Mhm.
So we don't look at men as value, and that permeates from the time that we are a young boy until we are a grown man. And it usually takes an anointed special person to pull a young man up. And you pulled me up when I was 18.
Right.
Have I got it all right? No, I haven't.
Mhm.
But at least someone, my mother, when I was grown, pulled me up when I was already grown.
Right.
My older brother pulled me up when I was grown. That means over 18,
Mhm.
over 20 years old, and said, hold on, slow down. You're special, you're important. Because men seek validation. The topic is, should you test drive the car?
Mhm.
One of the ways that men seek validation is through one, a unsolicited or solicited picture of their penis,
Mhm.
or by the side. And what you usually find is if the size is not what society says it is,
Mhm.
or it should be, that we overcompensate.
Wow. Wow.
That could be a shiny car. That could be a big truck. That could be a small man with a Napoleon complex, overcompensating. And so, what I want women to understand, and I fell victim to this, God, Mom, is that men don't get a chance to go to the grocery store and say, I want a 10-inch penis with the best girth that exists.
Mhm.
We don't get to do that.
Mhm.
We only get what the good creator gives us and what our genetics gives us.
Mhm.
But what happens is Cosmo magazine, pornos, television has said that you gotta be hung low and you got to swing that thing. And so a lot of our validation is not our fault.
Mhm.
A lot of our over sexualization is honestly not our fault. Because I got Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, and these other ones talking about they got the WAP. But what you want to go along with the WAP is something long and strong.
Mm.
And something thick and not quick. And so, it's tough because women will say, well, let me see your hands or let me see your feet.
Right.
And already
Right.
start judging how big they think you are.
And you know what else? Women don't say this. So I'm telling y'all, women don't say this, but women could be talking to you like when they first meet up with you, and they looking down at them pants because they trying to see if it's a bulge there. They trying to determine whether it's big or small. Women do that. Women do that.
Catch me on a hot summer day.
Mhm.
Don't catch me when it's summertime, on a hot summer day, when I got my hooping shorts on some gray sweatpants.
Right.
Because the gray sweatpants and the hooping shorts, for people who don't know what hooping shorts is, those are basketball shorts.
Right, right.
And the gray sweatpants is what women usually look at. Or if you dress up like me and you got a nice pair of slacks that fit well,
they looking. And women, that can be a turnoff because women may look, and if they don't see anything, or they kind of like, he look like he's small. You could be talking, you could be saying they beautiful or whatever, and their mind is on, I wonder how big he is, because they looking at that print in those pants, and now men are wearing their pants a little bit tighter. So it makes it makes it easy. Now, I was at church. I'm not gonna say what church it is. I was at church with my girlfriend when church was open, and we were sitting there, and she's like, she's doing like this, like, I feel so bad. Yeah, I feel so bad. I was like, what's wrong? And she whispered to me. She was like, oh my gosh, I see the pastor's penis. And I was like, are you serious? I was like, are you serious? Like, you are sitting here, and and the thing about it with me, I'm gonna tell you about me. This is how I am, right? The way that I am is that when I see men, and my girlfriends always laugh at me because I don't ever really like see the man's face. I'm the kind of person where I'm looking at what you have on. Like, I love suits and ties. And then I like the casual look, but I don't like that grungy kind of look. That grungy, dirty kind of look. And so but that's what I see. Like, when I see guys, the first thing I can tell you exactly what color tie, what color suit, shoes, everything. If you said to me, how did they look? Or I could tell you about the hair too. But the face part, I don't ever really get the face part right away. Because I'm more into how they look. Do they smell good? Are they groomed? That kind of thing. So I don't see that. And I think every woman has their own thing, that they're looking for. But I will tell you this. One time, and this was like a few, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, a friend of mine was telling me about her friend who was single. She's like, I think you would really like him. He's a Christian. I feel bad even saying it. She's like, he's a Christian brother and everything. I think you would really like it. So we exchanged numbers. Him and I talked. Seemed like a nice guy on the phone. So we're talking. He was like, let's meet up at Applebee's. So we met up at Applebee's, and he was saying, you'll recognize me because it was on a Sunday. He said, I'm going to be coming from church, right? So he came in, and immediately I knew it was him. But the thing about it, the thing that stopped me, and it was like I left the building at that moment, was he had on a suit that was probably that they wore maybe 10 years before that. Okay, the white. Yes. Yes. Like, yeah, yes, it was a nice suit. But the pants legs were wide. And when he sat down in front of me, and I saw, how men put the handkerchief in that little pocket. When I saw that handkerchief in his pocket, he could have used that as a table napkin. I was like, oh my goodness. So I'm sitting there looking at him, and I immediately left, like my whole mind, body, everything left the building. I was just like, you know what? I don't even want to talk to him. I was so turned off by what he had on. I was so turned off.
It's tough, right? Because I think something that most men don't know is that we're being judged.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just gotta call it what it is. We're being judged.
Mm-hmm.
People are being judged, or they're being tested.
Yeah.
And they don't know it.
Right.
Now, I personally think it's unfair.
Mm-hmm.
Because had I known that I was being tested, I would have came with my A game. But because I don't know,
Right.
So it's tough because you don't know. But I've always been on this side that when you come out the house, you put your best foot forward
Uh-huh.
because you don't know who you're going to encounter. Right? So
Yeah.
I think it's tough because if men knew, because women got all these kind of secrets and rules and they got their own secret society. It's just like we getting put through this ringer. And I wish we knew, but now, as my man Joel said, we know now.
Yeah.
We're learning now. And so, I just look at it like, hold on, let me make sure I get the comments in. Hold on, I'll get the comments in real quick.
Because he said something really good earlier that I wanted.
He said be consistent in the way they, he was talking about good women, be consistent in that they're consistent in the way that they are, and that we're working on our shortcomings. He said that's like being, something teachable.
Mm-hmm.
He also said, I learned what a man isn't looking at some of the adult boys when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
He also said, absolutely no one tells the males growing up how precious they are.
Mm-hmm.
Only women, dogs, and children. Ooh, I love
That's the one. Read that one again. Oh my.
Only women, dogs, and children are loved unconditionally.
And that is so sad. Oh my goodness.
That is true. Oh, Joe, you are preaching.
Yes.
Oh, look. So he also said that the male not uniform is those gray sweatpants, the church slacks, or the gray sweatpants. Then he said, country, ghetto, and country. When he talked about the guy with the
yeah, with that outdated suit. Yeah.
And then Joe said, you better know that we've been tested and watched. Now your son, this slick, Odell Beckham looking son of a gun, said no female can say they dress better than him. Hold on. I gotta get off real quick. Her son is what we define as a pretty boy. If he plays a fraternity, he will be a captain.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what he is.
Mm-hmm.
He has an easy life because of his look, in my opinion. He's just pretty. He don't gotta work hard. He don't gotta work for nothing. They just fall at his feet, and he an athlete. Thank the Lord somebody took this boy off the market because he get on my nerves.
Yeah, and Will, you know what? That's the thing. Like with my son, what he's saying about my son is so true because it's like I have watched him. Oh, and you too. You've watched him over the years. Where, yeah, because he doesn't like women. Just come. They're like magnets. Black, older women, younger women. Yeah, and they are willing. Yeah. Yeah.
He got his hair. These one of the people you just hate on the inside. And you say, Lord, let me kill this nigga one time, please. Let me get some of his juice.
Oh goodness. And I just say, and I always say, like, what is up with these women who, like, where's your self-esteem that you just want to, you sending pictures, we talked about pictures, you're sending them pictures of yourself, you're doing this, you're doing that in these pictures, you calling them, you begging him to go out with you. Like, what is wrong with women that we've gotten to the point that we so desperate that we just gonna give it up. We just, what, matter of fact,
Let me tell you why. Because it's 18-1. If you go to church or you on college, if you're on a college campus, it's usually 18 women to one guy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to church, that number might rise to 30 or 40
yeah,
to one guy.
Yeah.
And so, and women knowingly may deal with the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's a shortage. Now, let me tell you what the shortage consists of. You may have individuals who are formerly incarcerated or incarcerated. You may have women who are looking for a straight man, but all they run into is members of the LGBTQ community, or down low brothers.
Mm-hmm.
You may have guys who are walking around with, positive HIV or AIDS status.
Mm-hmm.
And so when women are looking around, some because African American men don't measure up. But I got to throw in a strong ass caveat.
Okay, throw it. Throw it.
I think that women, especially women in my community, give black men a harder time for a bad rap. They are willing to deal with the shenanigans and the nonsense of other races and other communities. But if they credit good, they ain't tripping. If they got money, they ain't tripping. If they got the new Mercedes Benz, they ain't tripping. But when it comes to black men, I think when it comes to other races, unfortunately, women in my community don't do all that rah-rah stuff. But when it comes to black men, they ready to fight them, they ready to jump in his face, they ready to talk down and dirty to him. But I find that when women go approach other men in other communities, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, they don't do all that.
Well, let me tell you why. I think you do understand. I was having this conversation, I think, with my dad or somebody, but I think the reason that is happening a lot in our community, I mean, that was taught from slavery. You know, we were taught how not to respect our man, because anytime, like, you know, I told the story about my great grandmother who was married to a husband, but she was raped 5 times by the slave master and had 5 different children, you know, by the slave master. So think of you know, I'm your wife, and you know that the slave master has me over here. He's having sex with me, impregnating me, and I got to lay beside you every night with this man's baby every night. He gets to put his hands on me whenever I want. How disrespectful is that? And so we've been taught to disrespect the man, to devalue the black man. And this is why you always hear me saying, like, this is the one thing, like on this show and on any show that I do not allow anyone to devalue my black brothers. You know, I might laugh and joke, I might say certain things, but that's the one thing. And that's because I got a black son. You know, I can't ever allow people or make people think that it's okay to talk about black men or to say certain things about black men, because a lot of people don't understand the struggle of a black man and what they've had to go through. Now, people will say, I'm tired of hearing you saying, oh, it was slavery, it was this, but that thing started back then, and it's still going on. It's still going on. It's still going on. Mm-hmm.
If you look at the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, they took the black men out of the home. They destroyed the black men.
They did.
They incarcerated men. They did not. They took away the good, what was considered a good stable job. The Bethlehem Steel, the Sprouts Point job, the good jobs with benefits, and black men could only get menial labor jobs. They did not get the high quality job. What happened, and anybody can debate me on this, but I know factually and through research that black women have, and I want to be careful in my wording, but black women have been allowed to rise up the corporate ladder and up the structures of different, or they not even just been allowed, but they have gotten degrees, and they have been able to move and navigate and rise through the ranks of different companies and been able to make high wages.
Yeah.
But black men have not.
Yeah, that's right.
Black men are not the most degreed. We are the most, we are endangered species. We are the most killed, the most locked up, the most, you know, just messed up. Whereas black women have excelled. And so, but it is a twofold thing that they have, it's a design thing, as Joel said, that one, they have been pushed towards education to rise. And then two, they've been allowed by the white supremacist power structure to rise.
Right.
But also to keep the black man, and I gotta say it, I gotta be honest, to keep the black man down and subjugated. And so a lot of black women who are high earners say, I don't need a man. What can a man do for me? Because I have a degree, I have a home, I have a car. He can't do nothing for me that I can't do for myself.
Okay, hold that point. Keith says Keith is on our Facebook page. He says the majority of black educated women are looking for a beta man.
Now, I don't know what a beta man is. Is that a dominant man? But hold on, before you answer that, Trina said too many women are looking for an ATM and not a husband or an ATM husband. Not just a husband. As Joe said, remember, we are not loved unconditionally. We are only loved based upon what as men. I ain't talking about race now. I ain't talking about culture now. I'm just talking about being a man.
Mm-hmm.
A man is only loved by a woman based upon what he can provide her. So that may be your finances first.
Mm-hmm.
That may be spirituality somewhere on the list. Because that ain't, finances really run a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
That may be what you got in the bedroom in between your legs, if it's so-called big or girthy or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's why you see black men or men carry the way they carry.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are only loved based upon conditions and what we have. And if we don't have it, see, let me tell you this, y'all. Most women treat a man who makes $10 an hour like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But if he come in the house with $100,000, oh, he's a king. They gonna run his bath waters.
Mm-hmm.
They gonna rub his back. They gonna sex him up and down. They gonna give him the dog 3,000 and 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
With the twist action, with the double fisted. They gonna do all this and all that based upon what he can provide, based upon what he earns.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's unfair. I think you should treat a man as a king, no matter what he makes,
True.
no matter what he brings home.
True.
But what I've experienced and what I've seen is that we're treated less than if we make less than.
Mm-hmm.
We are treated less than if we make less than our part.
Yeah.
That's what I've experienced.
Mm-hmm. So, Joel, what did Joel say? Celebrate.
Joel said celebrate our women absolutely yes on their own merit. But realize also we've been placed at a undertow or under as versus rising together. And so I agree. Also, I don't think that black men are geared towards liberal arts education. I think black men are geared towards more of a Booker T. Washington style of get a trade, get a job. If you, women will say, and I hate this to the core, women will say you aren't a real man unless you do this, and this. And my contention is, who the hell are you to say what a real man is or is not when I can't say what a real woman is or is not? So I just think that, it's tough. It's tough. But once again, I don't want to get too far off. I'm just kind of giving a little historical background.
Well, Keith says black educated women cannot handle an alpha man. That's why you're looking for a beta man. So an alpha man is somebody that's strong, aggressive. They know who they are. Yeah. And then you have a beta man who's kind of laid back, and they more or less like a pushover. So I don't know, Keith. Like you're saying, black educated women cannot handle an alpha male. I think I don't know.
I'm gonna tell you why. See, when you're a black educated woman, or you're a woman who has reached a certain status, then you are in a sense, and I gotta be honest, it puts you in control. It puts you this is in my assistance. I'm not talking about masculinity, because the way that men try to be alphas is to physically or verbally dominate, because they don't have the other things that would make them feel or be treated like men. And so, what happens is, I do agree that at times, we're not a monolith, so it's not all, but at times, successful women don't look for guys who are real men, who are real not soft or passive, because sometimes it's harder to control what we would look at as an alpha man.
But
You
well,
can
but what?
control what.
But let me say this. I don't know that that's true because I don't know if it's an age thing, but
Okay.
I have my girlfriends are successful black, strong black women, and I don't really see them like going out saying I'm not going to go with this person or I'm not going to
Are
go with
they
that.
married?
No, these are single women. And so
Okay.
they've dated blue collar men, white
Uh-huh.
collar men. The only men that they're
Uh-huh.
not going to date are men with no
Is men with
jobs.
no collar. Men with no collar.
You got to have a collar in order for them to take you out, right? But
Uh-huh.
they're not good. And I'm the same way. Like if you at this stage of the game, and you because you said something earlier that I wanted to jump on, but at this stage of
Okay.
the game, if you don't have my thing is what are you bringing to the table, okay, at this stage of the game, at this of
Okay.
my life, okay,
Okay.
what are you bringing to the table? So if you're asking to be with me, go out with me or whatever, and this is why I said conversations have to be had, you know,
Yeah.
and I got to get all of this stuff out in the beginning because I don't want to waste your time and I don't want you wasting my
Yeah.
time. But
Yeah.
if you're not bringing anything to the table except your penis, then
Okay.
that's a problem for me because then I fall
I
into the
got you.
category of women who say, I don't really need you because I can, you know, I can just be by myself. If all you bring to the
Got you.
table is your penis,
Got you.
and that's how,
I
you
hear you.
know, older women, and that's how we start thinking, like, because we're looking at the security, we're looking at, you
Yeah.
know, if we want to travel and go somewhere,
Yeah.
do we have to be
Yeah.
counting pennies and trying to figure
Right.
out, you know,
But
you know,
it's not chemical.
go ahead,
I'm sorry, John. I'm gonna jump in.
go ahead.
I would prefer, I gotta point my finger. I would prefer, and men as a whole would prefer a woman to put out there what she means and not say, I just want a man who's not bringing dick or bringing something to the table.
Mm-hmm.
You have to say, do you have a passport? Do you have a car? Do you have your own place? Do you have a decent, or some women have to say, do you got a job? Not even a decent job or high paying job. Do you work?
You have a job.
Do you have a criminal record or not? You know, so I think that I hate to say I got a collar, a jacket, a bow jacket, a French coat, a thrift coat, all of the above. He got it all. He got a first down.
My
He
son.
got all that. But what I'm saying is, like you just said, like you just beautifully articulated, you have to enjoy. That's why he's my brother. You gotta be specific and you have to be clear.
Right.
And so, for instance, if me and Joel or your son are talking to women or dating or getting married or getting engaged, we're saying things like, "Can you cook?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to have children?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to work or do you want to be a stay-at-home mom?
Right.
Can you drive? Do you
Yeah.
got a car?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what really burns me up is that women will live at home until they get a PhD, and they could be 40, and ain't nobody saying nothing. I
Mm-hmm.
got to step over Pop, the dog, and your grandmother, and your mother speaking in the background.
Right.
I got to step over all them, and ain't nobody saying nothing. But let a Negro be living with his mother and working on his PhD at 40, they say, "Oh, something wrong. He ain't paying no rent." He
Mm-hmm.
might be taking care of the mother, but most people would say your mother's taking care of you.
Right.
And so I just think that is a skewed double standard that I absolutely hate. That you can live at home with your mother and be trifling, be ghetto, don't have no table, ain't never built no table, ain't gonna build a table, but project and say what we gotta have and what we gotta bring in order to deal with you. And so look, you got a question though. You said, should I test drive beforehand?
Mm-hmm.
So I got to test drive that thing. I got to see if it's worthwhile. Because I would hate to get into, now guess what? Even if I don't test drive the car all the way around the block and all up and down the highway, I got to look at it. I got to be inside. I got to do some things to see if it's good. Because I would hate to get married to somebody
goodness.
For false advertisement. So I got to test drive this car, and I ain't gonna lie. I gotta be honest and transparent. I done had a whole car lot. I gotta tell you.
And see, that's what we were saying earlier. Right. Mm-hmm.
And so, because most people would hate, that's why we ask for pictures too. Because we need, because clothes is a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
and makeup,
yeah.
all that nonsense. A woman is a walking creation. If you ever seen the episode of the Fresh Prince,
I saw that when she was taking off everything. Yeah,
she took off her
yeah.
hair, her nails, her makeup. She might have taken off the pants.
Oh goodness. Mm-hmm.
You can't tell based upon the surgeon
Mm-hmm.
and the surgery.
Right, right, right.
That's another reason why men try to safeguard themselves. Send me a picture of your birth certificate. I don't care what your naked pictures look like.
You want to know if they were born a male or female? Yeah.
I need to know. Let me talk to your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have 4 Bradleys or did you have 3 Susans? Because I need to know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And women get it twisted and think that it's always a sexual thing, and it's not. Sometimes you trying to do your own background and investigation, and the reason, once again, I hate your son is because he ain't never had a problem.
And that's what he said in there.
Who weren't born pretty, we had to work harder, and we had to go through the trenches and the mud. And
yeah.
So, and I agree. If you see, that's my thing. When I start talking to a girl, and she say, "I'm not sending pictures. I don't give head." If she say I don't talk about sex and all this other stuff, I'm trying to figure out how can I block her from my cellular service, because I don't even want to have a conversation with
wow.
her. I'm being straight up. If we can't talk about all the vicissitudes of life, then I don't even want to talk to you.
Wow.
And we need
Wow.
to get to talk about everything under the sun.
Mm.
And so if I'm just being honest about how I have
But Will, let me ask you this. Okay, this was a question I had. I'm glad it just came back to me. So when we talk about, and I also want to read Keith's comment. He said, if a man can take care of himself, what can a woman bring to the table other than her vagina? Okay. Okay, Keith. True. That's true. And you know what? It's a lot of educated black men out here too. It's a lot of educated black men. But this is what I wanted to ask you, being a man, okay? Being a man. Now we're talking about, should you test drive this car before you get into a committed relationship? And how many daggone test drives do you need? How many test drives do you have to go on? And here's the thing. When I'm really thinking about all of this, it's like, okay, if you got to test drive all of these women, do you really want a woman? Do you really want a woman in your life who has been turned more than the doorknob handles at your house? Because you know that she likes to test drive too. Because to me, that's not appealing. That ain't attractive. That I know that you like you just said, you didn't test drove a whole car lot, SUVs, semi trucks, and all that kind of stuff. But how many times? Like how many? I guess you don't even know like how many women you have to go through, because me personally, I always feel like women, I mean, that men like you guys, that you guys want a woman who hasn't had a lot of men up inside of her. Okay. But then you're sitting here. Why is it okay for you? If you want a woman, see, that's the double standard right there. If you want a woman who hasn't been test driven, why is it okay for you to be out there doing the test drive?
Well, let me say this. My whole fact and her whole fact is different. And so, you know how we do a CarMax report? Our CarMax reports are different. But I'll say this. I'll be honest. But because my standards in my mind has changed over time.
Mm-hmm.
I used to say I don't want a woman who got a whole bunch of body. But at the end of the day, we got to be honest and say, you know that she slept with multiple men before you. What people do is they're not honest about their numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And what they'll say, what women will say is, I only slept with a handful. Every woman I have ever met will say, I only slept with, I can count them on one hand. And that'd be the biggest lie under the sun.
Yeah.
But they'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
I only slept with James, John, Mark Anthony, and Peter. And that's it.
Oh, listen to this. Listen to this. I love this comment. Not that I agree with the comment, but Keith said, why would I buy brand new tires for my car, give her the brand new paint job, car insurance, and never get a chance to drive it? Oh my goodness, Keith. Oh my goodness.
All my heart. A man is not fully invested in a woman. And that's just my opinion, the Gospel of William, not nobody else. But a man is not fully invested until he has tasted the cookie.
What?
And until he can be his vulnerable, authentic self. A man will never marry. He will never be.
Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm.
And if I cannot do that, then I'm not going to commit to you. But let me tell you what vulnerableness looks like. Not just sex.
Oh my goodness.
But look, let me tell you this, and fellas, chime in. Sex is in the top 3 to the top 5 of every man's list.
It is. Yeah.
It is top 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think y'all listen. I really think, and tell me if I'm wrong, and there's a lot of guys on here. I think y'all can wake up with sex on the brain. Y'all can think about sex all day. We could be sitting here having a conversation about some bills. Y'all could be thinking about sex, and it's like it's constantly on your mind. For women, like it's like we got categories. When we gonna think about sex. Yes, when we gonna think about it. Mm-hmm.
Because women want sex and women like sex.
Mm-hmm.
But they won't tell you that. They won't put that out there because they don't want to be perceived or judged as easy, as a whole, as promiscuous, and all that nonsense.
Right.
But women do prioritize the children. They thinking about the bills.
Right. Right.
And to do this, they gotta go on Pinterest, and then from Pinterest they gotta shop at Walmart, and then the credit card is due, and the rent
right.
is paid by 5 o'clock on September the 5th.
Mm-hmm.
All that nonsense. And what I often tell women is that men don't give a damn about the stuff that they care about. Men do not care and
Mhm.
vice versa.
Mhm.
Women could give a damn about what men think about what they feel. They don't care.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
have to walk around in the world acting like we
Mhm.
care. Now,
Mhm.
tell me about your day. You don't care. You really don't care. You don't care. If you in healthcare and I'm in finance, you don't really care about my day. But what happens is we have to, in order, this is what I learned, right?
Mhm.
In order, and this is just a fact of life, in order to get what you want to get, you have to do certain things in order to get that end result,
Mhm.
right? And so you gotta act interested, you gotta talk, you gotta share. You know, women wanna Steve, you old. I love you, Steve, but you old. You're a different generation. Steve, you're different. I love you, Steve, but you're different. I'm telling you, maybe from a millennial or younger person's perspective, some people don't care about what women care about. Now, Tiara said some men can't match or handle our sex drive. That's true.
Mhm.
That is true.
Mhm.
And that is true. Now, let me be transparent. Women can come and climax and all this good stuff a million times.
Right. Right.
Men might got that one, two, maybe three good of them, and they did to the entire universe.
Right.
I
Right.
need a whole day to recharge, or I need an hour or a couple hours. Now, as the older I get, I got to have a fan on. I got to sit there and have a fan. I don't know if it was because look, I think when I got over 30 and I started getting some of these underlying health conditions, I got to cut the fan on. I got to have some kind of nightlight. I need to sleep.
Right.
You know, I can't just feel my way around the
Yeah.
blood.
Yeah.
But I'm saying real talk though, you know, it's different for women.
Mhm.
But let me tell you something that women don't think about. Women get men riled up doing foreplay.
Mhm.
And the anticipation be so great. And that thing be rock solid. And I'm talking about hard as a brick.
Mhm.
Hard as a key of cocaine. And when we get in that thing, after the foreplay, we already so riled up. We done shot the missiles, we done shot the rocket, we done. We might have gave you a good 3 minutes, as my man Bernie Mac would say.
Right.
But
Right.
the difference between the men and women is that we're not being selfish. But mine gonna go sometime before yours.
Yeah.
And you got to catch up to me, because I ain't got time to be, you know, hollering and all that, sweating. Hey, listen, you better bust that thing.
Right.
Because I got to go to sleep. I got to
Mhm.
get up and work tomorrow.
Mhm.
Because I got to work a hard job. Y'all working at the office.
And then
And so,
once y'all finish, you know what y'all do? Y'all go to sleep. And sometimes the woman is up and she wants to still talk. She wants to have a conversation. You know.
listen, there ain't no time to talk. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you, I got to tell a fellas this. Let me drop a $100
Oh
million
goodness.
game. Women will give you some of the best vagina, coochie, that booty thing, I'll say some pussy. They ain't give you the best to get your defenses down. They trying to get your defenses down and let you just talk. They just taking mental notes.
Mhm.
They are a court stenographer in the bedroom. Don't ever get that pussy cat and think that they not taking notes.
Oh goodness.
They are listening intently because now your heart is in it. You like your heart is in it. Your defenses are down. She done got you some Kool-Aid. I know if it was my lady, she got me some water and some Kool-Aid.
Mhm.
And she done gave me my medicine. Oh boy, I'm ready to talk.
Mhm.
I'm just ready to share.
Right.
But look,
Right.
let me tell you the difference though, Miss Charlene. Men usually don't know that when we finish, that's the time that we want to cuddle and stay connected.
Mhm.
And not just turn over and roll over and go to sleep.
Mhm.
Because now it's transactional. And it's just sex. It's just a nut.
Right.
It's not, so at times we have to, cuddle and all that. Joel said yes. Then as soon as we are done, she goes, so let me ask you a question. Or guess what? Women that have sex with you, be in a gray area, don't know what you are, and then say, so what are we? Well, we was what we were before we started.
And see, listen, this, see, y'all missed the part when I was reading out of this. I was reading like a little paragraph out of a book. I think the woman might be a Christian author, but the one thing she was saying in her book is that she was speaking against test drive, and she was like, the book was, I think it's called Test Drive, Sex Before Marriage, and what she was saying is that people will have sex, they engage in sex before marriage, and it's not good because you start making those connections. And she said it cements the two together. And then you have these women will have these emotional ties. And like you just said, they'll be asking, okay, so what are we now? Or they might see you with somebody else and then they going crazy because you was with me last night, you know. So that's why I was saying we got to be really careful about how we do stuff because we got people's emotions involved. Now, Eric said, he said, well, at that point, on to the next.
Joe said, yeah, 30 and whooped his butt. Then he said, yes. So I read that one already. Steven said, yes, yes. Tierra said, selfish, I tell you. Let me see. One time, and I need a break for hours. Bye. He said, if you get in that thing and you finish, you talking about one time, and I need a break for hours. Joe said you want some candy shop, pay some bills. So look, let me say this though. So Tierra said, Joe said because they weren't clear on their expectations. Tierra said make it clear is all I ask, especially if you're sleeping with other people.
And then Eric says if you're at the mall, when they offer you a sample 5 times, how many times are you going to you going to take it 5 times? Oh my goodness. But
and Eric says, I'll make it clear when we first talk. Now check this out. Godmom. This is what I get so pissed off at women for. And fellas, you got to feel me on this. On Facebook and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a freak all the way up until you meet me. And then you want to find Jesus. No way, no. You just was a freak with Tyrone, Davon, and Jonathan.
Well, maybe it's because they see something in you.
No, don't see nothing in me. I don't want you to see nothing in me at all.
Oh my goodness.
Guess what? This is what I get mad. You ain't make them wait. You put me through all the races. I got to go through a triathlon. Not a sprint, not a marathon. I got to go through the Ironman challenge to get some cookies.
Mm-hmm.
Or some coochie or some vagina. But they just walk in it. People like your son, he's so pretty and smooth. He just walk in it. They open the door for him. He got valet service. He got a bottle of water. He got some chocolate for his pillow, some mint. There's some guys who's so smooth, they don't gotta work for it.
Right.
It's just there.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, because she looked at you different than others. Don't look at me different. Don't look at me. I don't want you to look at me different.
And you could be, because some men don't know that women might be looking at them and they might say, you know what, this, after having conversations, going out and being around you, they may feel like, you know what, this is the guy that I actually want to be different for. You're looking at it in another way because you done heard what she did with old boy, round the way. Yeah.
And all this, that's cool, right? But then I'll give you another thing. Most church girls I know, right? This is most church girls I know.
Mm-hmm.
And some I'll probably date. It can't be good when you want to have sex. And you get riled up.
Mm-hmm.
And you get horny and hot and heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's bad when I do it. So you the angelic innocent figure, the devil whispered in your ear, he talked to you, and that's why you got hot and horny.
Mm-hmm.
When I did it, I should have self-control, I should know better, I should have discipline. Man, fuck that. When this thing, when it's ready, it's ready. And so I just get mad at women who, okay, let me get another one, Godmom. This thing coming from deep down in my spirit. Come on, this thing is, it's stirred.
This boy.
I hate women, and I gotta say it the way I did in my spirit. Some women don't necessarily need to have sex to get off. They can cuddle, they can get a massage, and all this kind of stuff. You can just watch a movie with them, you can just intellectually stimulate them, and that's their thing. Now they done got you all hot and bothered, and you sitting there with a hard brick in your pocket and whatnot, and they done gone to sleep. And
But
they
see,
expect you not to masturbate,
right.
and expect you not to get tempted or whatever on social media, on dating websites, and all that kind of stuff. And it's unfair, and it ain't right.
But see, that's why conversations are important, and I'm glad you brought that point out. Like, what stimulates the person that you're with? Are they stimulated by sex? Are they stimulated by conversation? Me personally, I love good conversation. Don't come at me right away with let's jump into bed, because I'm immediately turned off. Because we're not going to the bed right away anyway. I'm immediately turned off, but I am stimulated by good conversation. You know how to speak correctly. You know, you know how to talk to me, like not coming like that guy did earlier. Like, you know how to talk to me like a woman, a respectable woman. And I know how to talk to you that way. So I love conversation. Conversation for me can take me everywhere. And then for some women, they need to be caressed, they need to be hugged, they need to be held. That's not me. And you know that. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
All that caressing, see, that's the thing, right? Women have to understand that. I think it's easy to abstain from sex when they don't check off all the boxes on your list.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to not even get tempted when they ain't what you like. That's easy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole bunch of women out here who's not tempted by a dude because that ain't their flavor. But when it's your flavor, then come holler at me and show me all this self-discipline and how you got all this self-control and you talk to the Google. Show me that. But
True. I've been in those situations where, I've met some guys and I'm like, wow, you have that conversation. I'm like, wow. But then you got to control yourself. Everything comes back to you, because I could be the aggressor and, start saying stuff to him, because now, he stimulated me emotionally and intellectually. So I could come at him. And so, I think we always got to look at ourselves and we got to keep ourselves in check, because I meet so many guys that have great conversation. I could be a doorknob, and that ain't happening. So, I think it's just a matter of how you handle things and how you carry yourself until you find that person that you actually want to be with and you want to give yourself to. But I got to tell you, all of this test driving stuff, and earlier Keith was talking about, what about one night stands? All of this kind of stuff, the one night stand, and listen, I'm a person. I'm not a piece of steak. Where you get to, it just makes, to me, it's like you're a piece of meat. You the food for the day, the flavor for the day. Let me taste some of that. Oh yeah, that was good. Yum yum.
But that's the same way, what women do to men. They objectify men or devalue a man or value him based on the size and girth of his penis. But let me read through the comments real quick before we get to that part.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Joe said, I know one man that didn't test drive, before, and then your son said, without test driving a Lambo. Come on, Earth. How you gonna know how to use it when you get in it? Then Tina said, if your sex game ain't good, your love is whack. She's like, look, your sex ain't gotta be good. You say it can't be trash.
Yes.
Stephen was saying, one of the points I made, that's not true. He ever said, of course, some men can't handle our sex drive, which can be true, because the interesting thing is, when men are going up, sometimes it seems like women are going down, or when women are going up, men are going down. So I think that when it comes to sex drive, you kind of got to get on the same wavelength. Also, Sierra said, let me see, hold on, let me make sure I'm reading it. Let me go back to him. Give me 1 second.
What was it? It said, I want to be my steak. Oh, I want to be my steak for my man, Miss Charlene. Oh, yeah. Right. I agree with that.
So wanted a baby, then she wanted a decent dude. Joe, you preach to the choir. Because these women go out here and get with the thugs and the bad boys and the roughnecks and get slapped upside the head, get jacked up, come with 3 and 4 kids, and then they want a dude who was a square back in the day working at McDonald's who got a glass. Then Art said, y'all let some of these women act this way. Tierra said, come lay that brick down while you got to go to other methods. A lot of these dudes, Art said, a lot of these dudes need my help. Steve, Art, you got to do a show. But Art, you have an unfair advantage in life. So I don't know how much you can help regular dudes, but you might got $1 million for a game, so you got to drop that. Steve said, now you talking my talk, she better turn me the heck on as well. Art said, Joe said, I sound upset. And Joe, you're right. I used to be so damn pissed off because I said, hold up, I'm giving a professional body massage from head to toe. And I'm rubbing feet, backs, necks, ankles, and knees, and all kind of stuff. And she's getting hers. And then I'm up looking crazy, between midnight and 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just unsatisfied, and I'm unhappy. Absolutely, Joe, I was mad. Eric said he got the answer for y'all. Tierra said sex is the easy part. Being with someone is truly a full-time job. And it ain't come on, preach, woman.
Yep.
Preach. Joe said, come on, lady, preach that thing. Tierra said, I want to be my steak for my man, Miss Charlotte. Come on there, woman.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
I got that A1 stuff. Eric said, add me for a few minutes. Let's see if we can add Eric. Joe said, women objectifies men via his job, clothes, the same way men do women visually. I agree. Let's get Eric on this joint if we can get
Yeah. So because I think men, if we hear you. This is my son, everybody. Like he can do his own thing. But I think if a woman lets a man like do whatever he wants to do to her, y'all gonna take it. Y'all gonna take it. And that's all I've been saying. Y'all gonna take it. Y'all gonna do it. And that's why I was saying to the women, like, we gotta be careful with all of these one night stands and we have to ask ourselves, huh?
Whatever anybody allows you to do, you want to do. And, I'm going to say this. And Eric, I'm going to keep it set before you go, Charlene. Everybody is only as good as their options.
Mm-hmm.
So you may be my flavor of ice cream today, but I see some chocolate, a chocolate double scoop over there. You might be my flavor next week or 6 months from now. And that doesn't mean I don't like you, I don't love you, I don't care about you. But, for some reason, that chocolate double scoop looked good when your vanilla was cool 6 months ago or 5 years ago. But, so this stuff. But I will say something that Tierra said is critical. It is easy to go out here and suck and lick and have sex with lolly-dolly and everybody. But can you do the hard work of the relationship?
Exactly.
So I want to test drive everything. I'm a real man. I'm a real bro. If I see, I might want to Corvette. I might want to BMW. I might want to lean that. I might want to Tokyo Drift that. I do want to test drive.
And you know what? Will, the other thing, before Eric goes, the other thing that I was saying on the live too is that a lot of y'all dudes out here want to test drive and y'all don't want to cover up. Y'all want to go test drive raw. And that ain't cool. That's not cool. Go ahead, Eric.
Let me draw some game for y'all. See, it's different when you test drive it. A 2004 Honda Civic multiple times. You cannot keep doing that. A lot of dudes think that if they rent a lot of cars, they do not. You rent 2004 cars. Right now, I'm on 2028 cards, and I'm only taking 2028. That's where I'm at. You don't want no hoopty. You don't want no hoopty. No, no, no. Hey, let me ask you this, right? Let me ask you this. When you go, let's say you rent out an Airbnb, right? Yes, sir. Okay. But let's say currently, right now, you're living in an 8-bedroom house. When you rent an Airbnb, are you gonna rent out a condo with like 2 rooms? No. Okay. Well, hold on. Now, I would initially say no, right? But it's also depending upon my circumstances and my pockets in the situation. But guess what? A 2-bedroom at the time. I was telling my man this the other day, right? A lot of dudes and a lot of people say that they want to change, they want to be this, they want to be that. Mm-hmm. In order for you to change, you have to be what you want to be. So if you want to be out here acting like you get money, you live in luxurious, you have to display that. Otherwise, you're never going to be that dude. So with me, if I'm offered a 2005, it's not happening. It's 2021. I'm not even taking 2021. It can't happen. I love it.
Look, Steve Copeland. Steve Copeland says, I'm old school. My mother taught me that men take care of their responsibilities. I take care of the women that come in my life.
Hold on, can I get some pushback on Steven? Wait, ask a question. Well, I'm gonna get pushback because when you say Steven's old school, we're talking about 50. We're talking about he's over 50, right? Now I want to pull out a word that Steve said out of his comment. He said, "I take care of the women." He didn't say woman. He didn't say one. He said women. And so, back in the day, in his generation, my generation, a dude would take care of home, but have Miss Brenda with 3 kids on the east side of town. And he take care of Big Mama, which is my grandmother. He take care of Miss Brenda. He taking care of Miss Susie down at the bar. And so, back in the day, dudes was really out here getting it like that. They would get all of everything. They was knocking down everybody's grandmother and taking care of everybody's grandmother. So, what standard are we using? Are we saying, hey, are we trying to get married? Are we doing a one-night stand thing? Are we doing the Lord? I feel like a lot of dudes just don't ask because they be scared. What you mean they don't ask? They don't ask what? They don't ask what they need to ask because they scared they're going to lose a girl. If you scared you're going to lose a girl, then you shouldn't be talking to them. Okay, give me an example of what a dude would be scared to ask a girl. So, like, for example, what you mean? I mean, anything. Like, if a girl sees that you have confidence, she like that. A lot of dudes be out here acting shy with no confidence. So, if you want to ask her for her and her friend, just be real and ask. Don't be weird about it and make her like feel uncomfortable. Otherwise, then she's not gonna go for nothing that you're trying to do because you done already made her uncomfortable. If you with a girl for the first time, you make her uncomfortable once, real bad, she's done. It's over.
And see, we got 2 different generations here because Eric's 25 and you're what, 30?
I'm 32, I'll be 33.
Wow, Will, you're getting old. So Will's, yeah, so 25 and 32. So when you talk about, and then Steve put on here that he's 60. So we got different generations of men on here. And so the things that you would do now, one thing that he said in his comment that I'm going to go back to, Steve said that he takes care of the women in his life, which means that if his mother needs something, he taking care of his mom. If his sister needs something, he going to make sure his sister's good. Okay. And so, see, that's generations. And then we got Joel, who said he was responding to Steve Copeland. He said that's when these bills were reasonable. He said these bills now he said I can't afford me and wifey. Like, and see, back in the day, the men took care of all of the bills. They took care of all the expenses. They took care. And imagine back then, you had women who were having 10, 9, 10, 11, 12 children. The man was taking care of the house, paying all the bills, buying the food, doing everything. And now we have this generation, like Eric's generation, 25, you're 32, where you saying, look, if I'm working, you got to work in order for us to get this house over here. I'm not going to be doing the work by myself. Bills are split down the middle, and so I'm going to relationships for a second, because when that starts happening, I think men don't understand that when that starts happening, where I got to go out and work just as hard as you're working to make sure that we're living and we paying these bills. When those things start happening, the woman is tired. So when y'all want to come home and you want to have sex and you want to do this and you want to lay down and blah blah and whoop de woo, the woman is just so tired, because will will And you know why we're mentally taxed? Because we weren't supposed to be out there working as hard as the man works. Mm-hmm. Right. And he still does. He still does. But Will, the thing about it, but they're 20, but their bills, you got to remember that their bills, like now we see houses that we want, they like 300,000, 500,000. So back then, $12,500 was a lot of money, when they're making almost like my father said. I think he said he made $2 a week, something like that. Um, they did not make a lot of money back then. So when even though we may say, okay, the houses back then were like $10,000, well, $10,000 to them was like 300,000 to us, and they're trying to figure out how to pay for a house that's 10K, because they don't make a lot of money. And I think my mom said her rent, the highest rent that she paid when she was single, was like $125 a month. And so, for them, they were struggling, but they somehow made it work with a wife, with children, even if they had to do multiple jobs. They, yep.
They would eliminate.
Mm-hmm.
See,